Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing an interior and exterior window cleaning with one chandelier and two large mirrors that we cleaned. Now this was another residential house. I primarily do residential customers, and they had a lot of delicate items including a grand piano, silk fabrics, vases, and a lot of things that we had to look out for. So I had my sidekick with me today, and he took care of all the exterior windows. I trained him well on how to detail corners and edges and buff out all exterior glass, and everything turned out great. There was a couple things that we had to touch up on the outside afterwards, but it was construction debris that I told the customer that we would take care of. So the first thing I did today, whenever I got started, I started with the mirrors. And one thing that you always want to do is have a process and know what you're doing. Some people would try to get this done with a ladder, and that's completely fine, but I've gotten really good with pole work throughout the years, which makes it way more efficient and easier to take care of these taller windows and mirrors. So the delicate items, like I said earlier, the main ones were vases, silk fabrics, and this grand piano. Now to the right, you're going to see the grand piano, and that was a pretty tight corner. Getting a ladder back there would have required, some handiwork that I'd rather stay away from. I got everything done perfectly with just my pole. So as I'm doing these mirrors right here, I'm going to walk you through it. What I did was split this mirror into two halves, but as you can see that there's three sections, and the glass of the mirror meets the wall. So one thing that you have to be careful with is to not scratch the wall, and that's why you have to have an overhang on your squeegee. So as you guys can see, I'm doing the S method, or the swivel, to take care of these mirrors. After I got the top half of the mirror cleaned, I moved down to the bottom half, and this seam that's right there that I closed out on, what you want to do is always wipe that up. What I just showed you guys with it was another vase that I had to move. A lot of these things that you're going to have to move in residential houses, some of them cannot be replaced. So what you want to do is work very delicately around these items. So as I said earlier, this is the tight corner that I had to work in. It wasn't a problem, but one thing I want to show you guys right here is to protect the pole base. Never hold it by the center of the pole where the pole can go back and hit something. Here I'm putting a drop cloth below the window that I'm cleaning, and these window treatments on the upstairs windows were in good shape, but there was some window treatments downstairs that had some age to them, and they were failing. So right here I'm rolling up the cord and setting it on the windowsill so I don't accidentally step on it and break the handle of the cord and have to replace that. I've never done that, but whenever I started cleaning windows, the guy that showed me how to clean windows was very good about showing me how to do things right. So I panned to this clip right here again because I wanted to show you guys my overhang on my squeegee. That's really like a 1/16 of an inch. But what you have to have is a little bit of rubber overhanging for areas like the ones that I just showed you. And right here, you do have a metal frame on the sides that you're not going to have to worry about scratching the wood. But there is places where the glass meets the wood, and what you don't want to do is scratch the wood. So after I got done with the mirrors first, windows second, it's time to clean the chandelier. What I'm doing is putting a drop cloth below the chandelier. Never leave your towels scrunched up or anything like that. Make sure that they're flat. And just in case any one of these pendologs or prisms drops from the chandelier. So what I did right here to start it out was take off the bulb and wash the bulb properly, because what you don't want to do is clean every part of the chandelier and not clean the bulb. So I've already cleaned everything else, and I just left this one arm for the very end. And as you guys can see, everything is pretty squared up, but whenever I started cleaning this chandelier, these center, what would you call them, pendologs, were kind of off as far as, how would I explain it? they weren't squared up. Everything right here is nice and neat. You always want the flat part of the prism towards the back, and you want the beveled part facing out towards you. And whenever you're cleaning these chandeliers, what you always want to do is have a well-saturated cloth to wipe everything down sufficiently, and then have a dry cloth so that you can go ahead and touch everything up. Sometimes, depending on what type of chandelier I'm cleaning, I will have rubber gloves on so that I can touch everything without leaving prints or anything like that. But this one was a pretty small chandelier. It didn't take me but about 15 minutes to clean. And after I got finished, I made sure that, as I said earlier, that everything was squared up. And I went over the work just to make sure that everything was perfect. And another thing, guys, whenever you're working with chandeliers, never work outside your comfort zone. If you just started cleaning windows, or if you've never cleaned a chandelier before, definitely don't start with anything exuberant or fancy. Always progress. I've cleaned some pretty expensive chandeliers. This one was probably the smallest one I've ever cleaned, but nonetheless, it came out beautifully. These crystals were definitely shining in the sun. So afterwards, I did a walkthrough with the customer. I went outside and checked on William, and here's the price breakdown for everything. After everything's said and done, I made a little bit over $800, and we did this in about 4 hours. And right here, I'm showing you guys the garage doors that we took care of. There was only a 2-bay garage door. And how I got the job was this customer actually filled out my online estimate form that you're seeing right here to your left, which really gets me a lot of business. You wouldn't believe how many people actually fill out this form, and it's kind of like fishing. It's a nice surprise every time I get a little email ding and I see that somebody filled out my form, and more often than not, I always get the job. So as I just showed you guys, I wouldn't send anybody over here with less than 2 years of experience, because everything that we had to work around, and that's 2 years cleaning windows on residential properties. Whenever you're cleaning windows on residential properties, every residential property is different. Whenever you get into larger custom homes, you're going to have a lot more delicate items to work around, and these customers are going to expect you to know what you're doing. And they do watch. They want to make sure that you know what you're doing. And once they see your work, and I always show the most respect that I can for these customers and their properties by putting a drop cloth down below the window I'm cleaning, bringing in clean equipment, wearing booties on my feet. As you guys can see, I've got a face mask on because currently we have the whole COVID, maybe the Delta variant or something like that going around. So I'm trying to take care of these customers as much as I can. So always wipe down the seals. I know some people charge extra for that. I don't understand how you can't include that. I could never walk away from a window without cleaning up the window seals. And right here, I'm working very delicately around this grand piano just to make sure that I don't hit it with my equipment or anything else. And I think I showed you guys earlier, never set anything on the grand piano or anything like that. Always find an appropriate place to put anything that you're taking off. For example, the vase that I showed you guys earlier. And as I just showed you guys, always do a walkthrough with your customer. And thanks for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe. And remember, go to work.